office. This presentation is going to be how we appeal property taxes through the Board of Review. So today we have with us the team from the Board of Review to come and talk to us on behalf of our Commissioner Larry Rogers. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to you.
Property tax appeal form. I know we are running a little bit behind. I see people motioning for the time clock on their wrist, so we're going to do our best to move through this swiftly so we can get to any questions that you might have. So one does. So the Cook County Assessor's Office determines the value of the assessed value of your property. Then you have the Cook County Board of Review, who actually is where you file your property tax appeal. And if you are dissatisfied with the appeal decision that you received from the Cook County Board of Review, you can also file with us to do an appeal with the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board. Okay. Then you have the Illinois Department of Revenue, who determines the equalization factor and makes property tax assessments uniform throughout the state. Next, you have your local governments, which is your municipalities, like your libraries, your fire departments, and police departments. And what they do is they determine the tax levy, and then they submit it to Cook County. Then you have your Cook County Clerk's Office, who determines the tax rates. And then they apply the tax rates to the assessments. Finally, you have your Cook County Treasurer, who prepares your tax bills, and they collect tax debts as well as prepare tax sales. So there are a few reasons why you might want to file an appeal. The most common is that you feel like your property has been overassessed, and you feel like your property assessment is too high. You might have also just recently purchased a property. When I use the term recently, I'm talking about within the last 3 years. So if you purchased a property from 2022 onward, you might want to file an appeal. Also, if you've recently completed an appraisal, meaning you've had an appraisal done from 2022 onward, or if your property is currently vacant. Closer. Is that better? Oh, yeah. Oh, wonderful. Okay. You might have also recently demolished a property, or you might have sustained any flood or fire or water damage. So let's talk about evidence for residential appeals. At the Board of Review, we do uniformity analysis, and what that means is that we take properties within the immediate area, typically within 1 mile, and we compare the same classification of your home, as well as like the square footage and other similar characteristics for a uniformity appeal. We also do a market approach, is where we look at comparative sales within your immediate area, again within the same classification, similar square footage, and by similar square footage, we mean 500 to roughly 1,000 square feet in terms of similar square footage of the properties. And we also, for evidence for residential appeals for a vacancy, when we just talked about an act of God, the things we would need if you file an appeal and want to submit evidence is we need photographs of the damage, meaning that our time and date stamp. So most of us take our photographs on our cell phone. There is a feature in your settings that allows you to do a time and date stamp. We highly advise that you add that feature when taking photographs of damaged property. And you want to make sure you're not just taking photographs of your personal property that was damaged. But say, for instance, if you had a flood, and you had to like cut out 2 feet of sheetrock from the ground, we want to see that. Show us the photographs of the sheetrock that had to be removed or the process associated with that. Also, if you're claiming vacancy, you want to show us that the property is inhabited. So what I mean by that is if you don't have a working kitchen, show us that, right? If there's no fixtures installed in the bathroom, that's what we're hoping to see. And if you're also filing a vacancy, you need to fill out a vacancy affidavit. And that can be found on the Cook County Board of Review website. And on that form, we're looking for you to just tell us which month was the property vacant. And it'll walk you through pretty much how to fill it out. But that's what we're hoping to see when we ask for evidence. So when we talk about comparable properties for uniformity analysis and market approach, if you're going to submit evidence, we're asking that you submit 3 to 4 comps. And those comps should have a picture of the property as well as the property index number and any information outside of that that you would like us to have in relationship to those comparables. So if you have a commercial appeal, we get the question all the time about whether or not you need to have an attorney when you file an appeal. You only need an attorney to file an appeal with the board of review if you have a property that is commercial and in the name of a business. Meaning any company name, any LLC, that's when you need to have an attorney file on your behalf. If you have a property that is commercial but under your name, right? Not your name as a business name, but just your personal name, you do not need an attorney. Also, if you have a commercial appeal, if your property is mixed use and is owner occupied, you must submit an appraisal that was completed recently, right, within the last 3 years. If it is a leased property, you want to make sure that you include your rent rolls, any lease agreements that you might have, and 3 years of your IRS scheduled lease. You also want to include pictures of the property, again, at a time or date stamp, and a vacancy affidavit if you're hoping to file vacancy on that commercial property. If you are filing an appeal for a condominium, right? This is the only time where our approach varies a little bit. For condo appeals, they're based on recent sales within the building, okay? So if you have a property that is 4 units or less, then we use a uniformity approach versus sales. Also, in the condo units, typically some buildings allow each tenant to file on their own, each unit, and some of them file collectively, but it's pretty much up to your condo declaration to determine which one does what. So this is the good part, right? You can make sure that you have all of your exemptions, right? So again, I'm not sure if all of you all know this, but your exemptions do not apply to income-based property. It must be your primary residence. So we're going to talk briefly about the top 3 most common exemptions within the Cook County Assessor's Office. So the first is your general homestead exemption, and that's for any property owner, okay, within Cook County. And again, it must be your primary residence. The second is the senior citizen exemption. Now, the senior citizen exemption is available for anyone 65 years of age and older. But the caveat is that you have to be 65 at the start of the tax year. So that's January 1. If your birthday is January 2nd, guess what? You missed out for that tax year. You wouldn't apply until the following year, okay? So you have to be 65 at the start of the tax year. The third is the senior citizens freeze. So you must be 65 years of age at the start of the year, right? But you also have to have a household income that is $65,000 or less. And what I mean by household income is everybody in the house. So if you have a significant other, if you have children living with you, I know sometimes we always have that family member that needs to come back really quick. Either way, is the total household income has to be $65,000 or less. And again, it must be your primary residence. So there are additional exemptions which can all be found on the Cook County Assessor's website. If you're a returning veteran, or you're a veteran with disabilities, or just a disabled person's exemption. If you go to the Cook County Assessor's website, column over exemptions, there'll be a drop down, and any information you need in regards to these particular exemptions can be found there. They've also made it a little easier than previous, where you can actually file for the application online. So if you want to take a picture of this, sometimes this is their direct number, please feel free to do so. If you can't see in the back, their direct number is 312-443-7550, and that's for the Cook County Assessor. So let's go over how to calculate your tax bill. For our example we have here this evening, we're going to take a property with an estimated market value of $250,000. Okay? Now the assessment level is 10%, which is what Cook County takes, which is the only denomination that the Board of Review alters. Okay, so if you receive a reduction from Cook County Board of Review, it's based on 10% of the assessed market value. In our example here, if we multiply that, you get a proposed assessed valuation of $25,000. Okay. Then we multiply that by the state equalizer, which is currently 3.0163%. Once we do that, we get an equalized assessed value of $75,408. This is when your exemptions begin to be subtracted. So in our example here, we just have a homeowner's exemption, which is $10,000, which is an increase from previous, which was $7,000, which now gives us an adjusted equalized assessed value of $65,408. Now this is where your township and municipality tax comes in. So we multiply that for our example, which is 21%, and we get an estimated tax bill of $13,735.68. Everybody got that? I know, it's tricky math, right? It's tricky. Okay. So your first installment tax bill is typically a 55% estimate of the total bill that's going to be due. So if you file with the Board of Review and you receive a reduction, I know we're eager to see it, right? But it's not going to be reflective on your first installment bill. If you receive the reduction, it will not be reflective into your second installment bill. And that's why we consider the second installment bill to be your most important bill. And here's why. When you receive your second installment bill, we want you to make sure you check all the information at the top. Make sure that your information is correct. You want to check your classification, you want to check, make sure your tax year and all that is correct, and check your PIN number, right? And this is important because mistakes happen, you know? The computers generate errors all the time. The next thing you want to do is, if you're interested in where your money goes, there'll be a section here that shows it. Usually it's in order in terms of the highest bill to the lowest, right? And they'll even show you the comparison from that year to the prior year, so you can see any variances to know whether or not there was an increase. Typically, when your bill is increased, it's due to your municipality. So everyone has this form in their hand. If you do not have a form and you need a form, please raise your hand and Valentine or Sharice will bring you one. But this is our paper form of the property tax appeal. So what you're gonna do is put in your PIN number. If you have a parcel or property with multiple parcels, any additional pins I want you to add in the section where the circle is. And then you're gonna just fill in the information. So this is the address of the property in question. If you have a property that's an investment property, or maybe you just want your correspondence sent to another address, then you'll put it in the section right below it where it says address. If it is the same address, meaning the subject property is where you also want your mail sent, just click same as above. Also, tell us a description about the property. Is it a single family? Is it a 6-unit? And if you purchased the property recently, meaning from 2022 onward, let us know and then give us the purchase price of the property as well. And then give us your status and your relationship to the property. If you're the owner or if you're the executor or beneficiary of the trust, let us know. If you plan to submit any supporting documentation, meaning if you have some comparables that you would like to submit and don't have them with you this evening, no problem. Just check yes and you'll have an opportunity to submit that information later. If you don't have any comparables, it's no problem. You don't need any comparables to file with the Board of Review. It's just an option. Sometimes there are people who have, properties that are on your same block that might have sold for less than what your property is being assessed for. If that's the case and you want us to be aware of that, then submit the comparables so we can take a look, but it's not a requirement. Also, if you want to have a hearing, you'll check this box. Now, hearings are informal. It's not in person any longer. Essentially, it'll just be an analyst who calls you to find out a little bit more information about the property. Usually this is for extenuating circumstance. If you have something that you're trying to convey that you don't have the evidence for, or maybe you feel as though you need to speak to someone, then check for a hearing. But most importantly, I need you to sign it. If you do not sign the form this evening, when you leave it, it is considered void. Okay, so please sign the form. Now, for those of you who are tech savvy and you want to file online, we do encourage you to. You go straight to the Cook County Board of Review.com website. You'll check submit an appeal, and it's a quick and easy process. But if you do it, we ask that you log in and register. So we want you to create an account. Do not file as a guest. If you create an account, you'll be able to go back and add supporting documentation if you have it. You'll also be able to check the status of your appeal and to find any notes from the analyst about your appeal. So we do encourage you to log in and register if you do it online. And then what you'll do is next is you'll select the type of appeal that you want to do. So if you feel as though your property is being overassessed, in our example here, you'll click property overassessed, and then you'll type in your PIN number and hit next. Just that simple. Once you've done that, you've completed it, unless you want to add some supporting documentation. Each township is open for about 30 days, and once the township closes, that's it. I know we're in Proviso Township, and that has not opened as of yet. So what we're doing is offering an opportunity to pre-file. So if you fill out the form tonight, when Proviso opens, your appeal will already be in queue, and there's nothing else for you to do. Okay? So there are 3 Cook County commissioners, and all 3 have a staff who will review your appeals. So there's a minimum of 3 people that assess the appeal. And in order for an appeal to be successful, 2 out of 3 of the analysts have to agree. Okay? So once the analysts agree and your file moves along, it roughly takes about 6 to 8 weeks from the time that the township closes. So for, in our example today, West Township opened. So West Township will close 30 days from today, and then the 6 to 8 week countdown would begin once it closes. And you'll receive your determination via USPS mail. And again, this is a reminder, if you're successful in receiving a reduction, it will not be reflective until your second installment deal. So this is a list of townships that open today. So if you know anyone in Barrington, Maine, Northfield, Stickney, or West Chicago, let them know that their opportunity to file starts today, and it closes on 10/21. So if you wanted to file, and you know someone who wants to file within those townships, sometimes we wait till the last minute, right? And we want to file on October 21st at 11:35 p.m. Okay? I don't recommend it because the system does shut down promptly at about 11:59. So if you're gonna wait and file, we just encourage you to give yourself some time within the day in case you have some technical difficulties. So these are the other townships that have previously closed. Berwyn, Evanston, Norwood Park, River Forest, Riverside, and Rogers Park closed August 5th. Cicero, Oak Park, and Palos closed August 19th. And then Elk Grove, Lakeview, Lyons, and New Trier just closed on the 16th. So if you know anyone who wanted to come tonight but couldn't make it, this is a list of events that are coming up for next week. So if you want to take a picture of this and let someone know that they can catch us, they can still pre-file with us at these other township locations. So if you want to contact us, the Board of Review, we do not have an automated system. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, there is a live person that answers the phone. So feel free to reach us at 312-603-5540. If you're going to file online and you get stuck, maybe you need a password reset, you can reach us at 312-603-5542. And you can also email us at BOR district3info@cookcountyil.gov, or you can come see us. We're at 118 North Clark on the 6th floor. So we ask that you save this number, 872-345-4747. Commissioner Rogers has done his best to make this process very accessible and easy for everyone. So if you text EZJOIN to Commissioner Rogers' direct text line, you'll find out about community events and different virtual events that are happening. And if you text the word file to that number, you'll receive a mobile link to file your appeal via your cell phone. Okay? So he's trying to make it accessible for everyone.
Thank you for watching today's presentation. I hope it was helpful, but before I let you go, just a few important deadlines and reminders that you need to be made aware of. As mentioned in today's presentation, this appeal process is only for the Board of Review, and that particular section for proviso is currently not open, so this presentation pretty much tells you how to pre-file in preparation to that township being open. There is a deadline for the actual appeal process through the Cook County Assessors, and that deadline is actually October 7th. The window period of that assessment was done back in August on the 25th, so now the last day to file your appeal for the assessor is the 7th of October, so you really don't want to miss that. I'm going to put together a real quick video on how to appeal the assessors in the next week or so. In addition to that, 2026 is a big year. I know a lot of you are familiar with the south suburbs. A lot of people complaining about their property taxes skyrocketing. That's because for that area, it was reassessed. Well, for Proviso Township, our next assessment year is 2026, in which the assessor is going to redetermine how much your property is actually valued at. So if you want to keep up to date with important things in reference to property taxes, I have opened up a course online that's called the Property Tax Boot Camp. That's going to teach you everything that you need to know in order to help address the overtaxation of us within the Proviso Township. So with that being said, I'm Claudia for the Maywood Watchdog. Definitely feel free to check out the website, maywoodwatchdog.com. I'm on Facebook, and as you can see, I currently have a YouTube platform, and the media group for the Maywood Watchdog is continuing to grow, so definitely take the time to get to know this platform, subscribe, and you guys have a great day.